So in this video, we wanted to take you on a tour of my parents' fifth wheel.
Nothing here is ever what it seems. Truth is stranger than a dream. When you see the heart sing like a cocoon opening, soon it's coming to an end.
They have a 2019 Arctic Fox fifth wheel, and they've just recently completed some pretty cool renovation stuff. So let's go inside and check it out.
And all the things of past will behold the way of glory.
So this is my parents' fifth wheel, and they're full-time RVers. We're so thankful that they're actually going to be in Florida for most of the winter so that we can spend some more time with them. So they've graciously agreed to let us come out and give you guys a tour, because what they have done in here is pretty amazing. And we know that some of you guys out there are thinking about RV renovation as well. So we wanted to give you some tips that we've learned, as well as just show you what they've done. So one of the first things that they've done in here, which is what a lot of RVers do with their renovations, is they painted all of the walls. Now, when I asked my dad about this renovation, they didn't use any sort of spraying for any of the paint. Everything that they painted in here, they actually rolled on or brushed on. And so nothing super fancy here. Pretty hard to renovate when you're full-time living in your rig and you're trying to paint. So they painted everything in here by hand. So the walls have all been recovered. And then on this slide out, where you typically have a lot of your ugly moldings and everything, they got a piece of plain pine board that was pre-primed. And then where it screws on, my dad actually got these really cool upholstery pins. So these are pins that you would use if you were like reupholstering a piece of furniture, but they look great on here, and it looks like that they belong there. So they did the same thing on the windows, where they actually took down all of the ugly valances that we all wonder why RV manufacturers use. And they just did this pine board with these upholstery pins, and then they kept the same shades as were there before. So the same kind of pull down day-night shades, but just changed out all those ugly window boxes for this type of mod instead, which I think that it turned out absolutely fantastic. And then they completely redid the floors. So these are all of your vinyl snap together floors. So these have all completely been redone. I absolutely love just how much brighter that this makes everything look in here, as far as the grays and the whites. Makes it look super modern, but also just brightens everything up from an aesthetic standpoint as well. So I just love that. The next thing that they did, of course, was what a lot of people do, and they got rid of the ugly brown cabinets. These were such a horrible brown color before, but they redid all of these as far as they painted over them, and then just pulled them off, reinstalled them after they were painted. And then here's the deal. If you're gonna do an RV renovation, just worry about what you see on the outside. So you can see this is what they used to look like, and they didn't worry about painting the inside, because that's not something that you really see when you're just sitting in your RV enjoying your RV. But on the outside, everything is painted nice and white, and it just, again, brightens it up in here so much more than that dark brown color. So this is also new. This is a KitchenAid convection oven. So for some of you that have asked about RV cooking after our last video and asked about the microwave convection combo, you can still get the microwave convection combos if your RV did not come with that from the factory. So this one is from KitchenAid, and we'll put a link in the description below for this particular model as well. This is all peel and stick backsplash. So behind this kind of stove area, they've put up this peel and stick backsplash here. So originally when my parents moved in here for full-time RV living, this particular area actually had like a couch, and then over here had a dinette that was like just a table with 4 chairs. So since it's just the 2 of them and they really don't need a ton of extra space, they installed this tabletop that folds down out of the way, and then they have this kind of futon style couch. So that way when they do have the grandkids over, or they've got people, they've got a little bit of extra sleeping space if they need it for guests. But this particular eating space, and then I love this space because this would be a great workspace. So if you were working from the road or something like that, this would be a great space for that, with all of the windows being able to see out wherever you are. And then this folds down and out of the way too for travel, or just if you need some extra floor space. It folds down nice and compact. And then they've got these 2 chairs here, but it gives you so much floor space. I feel like in an RV, it just opens up the possibilities for things like storage and organization. So anytime you can open up those areas, it's great, which is exactly what they've done with this particular corner here. And then back here, because they do travel with 2 kitties, you can see them over here. Down underneath here is where they've got the litter box, so it's out of the way. And then they've got just a place for the cats to kind of perch here. And then they just put 2 regular kind of reclining type chairs here. What was here before were a couple of chairs, but they weren't the reclining style, not super comfortable. So they got rid of the chairs that came from the factory and just got some nice super comfortable recliners that are easy to move around to for those travel days when this slide does come in and you have to get everything ready to be transported. So I want to show you what they've done back in the bedroom, because there's a couple of fun hacks back there too. So let's go back in the bedroom and check it out. So one of the things that I really love is just this little kind of tile that my dad put in here that goes in between where the sink and toilet are and then the shower is. I'm digging this tile, and I'm getting ideas for our RV already on maybe a spot I can use this type of tile. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button, because there'll most likely be a future video with this style of tile with something that I've got in mind already for our rig. But let's take a look at the bedroom, because I think that this is pretty cool what they've done back in here. Again, they took down the horrible just trim that RV manufacturers tend to put on these slide outs and put the pine board back here with those upholstery tacks again, which just makes everything look so much better. But one thing that I love are these barn style doors. Now, my dad actually built these himself, just with wood and then the bead board, and then got this tracking system and hung all of this up. But the cool thing is that their closet before had just a dead space to where there was actually a section that came out to about here, which meant when they wanted to install a washer dryer, well, you wouldn't have any access to it from the front because it would have actually covered it up. So this was a mod that actually kind of was needed to be able to have their washer or dryer in here and just be able to access it. So putting up this barn style door, he was able to make bigger doors than what existed previously by pulling out kind of the blockage that existed and then hang up these barn style doors. So that's something I absolutely love. Now here, this is something that's super cool. Right up in here, what they did is these are actually pillowcases that my dad put then pieces of reflectix in. So reflectix is one of those things that we absolutely love as RVers because it helps block out heat, it helps block out cold, it helps block out light. So when you have a window right next to where your head is at night, the last thing you want is anything light filtering, because then it just, you've got like a light shining you in the face sometimes, depending upon the campground depending upon the campground you're at, or if you're, in a boondocking situation or something like that. So having this reflectix inside of this is just a pillowcase that they hot glued some trim on. So it looks beautiful. You would never know that that's what that was, but it's like a super cool just mod that they did. So back here is just peel and stick wallpaper. Looks fantastic. And then just to have some cushioning if you have your head up here, this is just some foam that they put up here with some straps, and then again those upholstery tacks. So it looks gorgeous. This has a king size bed in it, so this is kind of like, you know, the creme de la creme of RV beds, with it just being that nice big king size bed. And then the walls in here have been painted as well, so everything just looks bright and airy and just so much more comfortable when it comes to full-time living. It really feels just like, you know, a small apartment or a tiny house, which really is what our RVs kind of end up being to us. Is these are our homes. This is my parents' home for the time that they're full-timing, and then we'll see what the next season of life brings. But I absolutely love these mods. So another mod that they did was all of these types of places where it kind of has like this upholstery. My dad recovered all of this with this white looking upholstery. You can kind of see up in here what it looked like before. It literally looks like some sort of maroon snake skin. It's just horrible looking as far as what it looks like before, but this makes everything look clean and just brighter. And so there's several areas in here where you've got some of these door tracks that the manufacturer installed this type of just sort of upholstery board that they recovered, and it just makes everything look clean and nice and bright. So here in the bathroom, there's really only two major things that they did, and that is just some peel and stick backsplash, which looks really great against the countertops, and then painting the walls. And so if you have an RV and you want to just do one thing that's going to help brighten it up, just painting the walls can make a world of difference in your RV. So just kind of like it did in here, didn't take a lot, but just that paint brightens everything up and just makes it feel a lot more like a home. So here in the shower area, what they did is they did something similar to what we did in the back bedroom of ours, and that is put this light filtering film, window film, over the skylight. And so that just, you know, brings down the light level a little bit too. Also, if you have one of those skylights that are somewhat more on the clear side, just, you know, gives a little bit more of a feeling of privacy. So they put that up here in the shower, and I absolutely love the way that it looks. Another upgrade that they did was this light fixture here. I absolutely have several light fixtures in our rig that I want to change out, so this gives me some inspiration. Now, I asked my dad about this specifically because we want to change out some of our light fixtures. And so actually this is a light fixture you can just pick up on Amazon or a Home Depot. And the key is to make sure that you get the right type of bulb for RV wiring versus your household wiring. But you can use a standard household type of light fixture as long as you're using a 12-volt bulb versus your standard household bulb. It works in this type of light fixture just great. So on the fridge, they painted these panels white. They of course were the lovely RV brown that so many are, but in this particular model, you've got just kind of smaller. No clue where this came out of.
Broke their fridge.
I broke their fridge.
Nice.
I just broke the fridge. I'm guessing.
Yeah, just next time they open the fridge, we'll just, and it falls out, we'll just be like, "What did you do?
What'd you do?
What'd you do?"
Anyway, okay. So they've just got kind of your standard size Norcold fridge that's in here, nothing too big. My dad's got a fan in here that helps just keep everything super cold. And then we have some of these that we like to use in our fridge too to keep things from sliding around. But on the outside, very nice and clean look that they did here with the paint on the fridge as well. So we hope that you enjoyed this tour video of this 2019 Arctic Fox fifth wheel. We just absolutely love everything that my parents have done in here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We'll definitely get you any answers to any questions that you have on RV renovation, or if you have any questions on this specific unit as well. They've been on the road full time for the last 3 years in it. It's been a great rig for them, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have in the comments below as well. I'm gonna put links for a couple videos that I think you might like up here and up here. If you'd like to follow us over on Instagram, you can do that right here. Make sure that you subscribe here for future videos on RV renovation and, of course, all things RVing tips. And if we don't see you at the campground or on the road, we'll see you in the next video.